Dear students and my teacher friends, Namaskar. I welcome you to the presentation lecture on Antidiuretic Hormone, in short ADH. Learning objective for today's lecture, what we are going to discuss today. See, first we are going to discuss how antidiuretic hormone is released from the posterior pituitary, which are the factor or which are the stimuli due to which ADH is released. Then we are going to discuss the three actions of antidiuretic hormone. That means we are going to discuss the role of antidiuretic hormone, what are the function of antidiuretic hormone in our body. Starting with the first point. Okay. See, when we suffer from dehydration, sometimes when we walk in the summer season on road, that time we lose water from our body in the form of sweat. So due to the sweating, our body dehydrate. And another thing is the when the person suffer from diarrhea, in that also the human body get dehydrated. So during dehydration, blood volume decline, and when dehydration take place, that time sodium concentration risen up. So as you can see over here, it is shown that due to dehydration, amount of water in the body decreases, blood volume decline, and the concentration of sodium ion Na plus increasing. Now, as the concentration of Na plus is increasing, so the osmolarity of the blood is increasing. Now, first of all, what is osmolarity? So, in the chemistry, we learn that the concentration of solution expressed as the total number of solute particle per liter. So, osmolarity means total number of solute particle per liter. That is known as osmolarity. So, when blood osmolarity increases, that stimulate the osmoreceptor which are present in the hypothalamus, and this osmoreceptor now stimulate the posterior pituitary, and posterior pituitary in return releases ADH. So here in the figure, as you can see, dehydration decrease volume of water in the body, decrease blood volume, increase Na plus concentration. Okay, so that means the osmolarity is elevated in the body. So this elevated osmolarity in the blood stimulate hypothalamus osmoreceptor. Now this hypothalamus osmoreceptor stimulate posterior pituitary. So posterior pituitary releases antidiuretic hormone. Okay. So here you can see posterior pituitary is releasing antidiuretic hormone. Let me show you this entire figure. Okay, this way. Now the third point. Now, in response to this ADH hormone act on cells of collecting duct. So when ADH act on cells of collecting duct, that time the collecting duct cell of the kidney synthesize the protein, and this protein are known as aquaporins. This aquaporin protein they act as a water channel, that we know, and these aquaporins, water channels, are installed in the plasma membrane of the collecting duct cell, and these channels act as a water channel, and they are allowing water to diffuse out of the duct, and this water enter into the hypertonic tissue fluid of the renal medulla. So simply we can say that ADH is acting on the cells of collecting duct cell. They synthesize protein aquaporin. This protein install in the plasma membrane, and this protein act as a water channel. Through this water channel, water molecules are coming out from the collecting duct, and this water molecule, they enter into the hypertonic tissue fluid of the renal medulla. Now the fourth point we are discussing. Now kidney then reabsorb more water. So water which is coming out from the collecting duct, that is reabsorbed, and as more and more water is reabsorbed, what happens? There is a lesser production of urine, so less amount of urine is produced because water is reabsorbed by the kidney. That's why. Now the fifth point. Now sodium continues to be excreted in the urine. So as sodium is expelled out from the body, what happens? The ratio of sodium to water in the urine increases. That means urine becomes more concentrated because there is a presence of sodium in the urine. So excessive sodium we are removing in the urine. Okay, and due to that, sodium to water ratio in the urine increases. Now the sixth point. So here in the figure, as you can see, let me show you. See, ADH release from posterior pituitary. ADH stimulate distal convoluted tubule and collecting duct. So from DCT and collecting duct, more water reabsorption. So due to that, in the urine, Na plus and water ratio increases. Now ADH helps kidney to retain water. ADH slows down decline in blood volume because ADH is responsible for water reabsorption. Water is entering in the blood stream, so that's why, as we know, water molecule enter into the peritubular capillary, so the blood volume is increasing. That means ADH is slowing down the decline in blood volume, and ADH is also slowing down the rise in its osmolarity. So blood osmolarity is also controlled by ADH by removing excessive Na plus in the urine. Okay, so ADH mechanism forms a negative feedback loop. So let me show you this negative feedback mechanism loop. So here you can see increased ratio of Na plus and H2O in the urine. Now negative feedback loop, and Na plus level is decreasing because Na plus is lost in the urine. Na plus is excreted in the urine, so that's why now the osmolarity of the blood normalized. Okay. Now, conversely, that means uh, opposite to the previous situation, uh, if blood volume and blood pressure are too high, in this case, or blood osmolarity is very low, that time ADH release from posterior pituitary is inhibited. Once again, if blood volume and blood pressure are very high and blood osmolarity is low, that time ADH release is inhibited by posterior pituitary. Now, in this case, renal tubule are going to reabsorb less water. So that's why, as the less water is reabsorbed, urine output increases, more water is expelled out from the body in the form of urine, and total body water is declining. So there is a reduction in the water level, water amount in the body. Okay. Now, this one is the effective way compensating for hypertension. We know the lack of ADH increases the ratio of water to sodium in the urine, and this lack of ADH raises sodium concentration and osmolarity of the blood. Okay. So let me show you once again. Let's look at this figure. Okay. So this figure is showing the action of antidiuretic hormone. Now moving forward. Over here, antidiuretic hormone. So antidiuretic hormone ADH, also known as vasopressin, and this hormone is released from posterior pituitary. Now, when the question is when this ADH is released, so in response to nerve signal from hypothalamus. So when hypothalamus send nerve signal to posterior pituitary, that time posterior pituitary releases ADH hormone. Now, ADH, structurally ADH is a peptide hormone, that means it is a protein hormone, and this ADH is synthesized by hypothalamus. So hypothalamus is forming this ADH hormone, and then this ADH through the from the hypothalamus, it is transported into the posterior pituitary. So now ADH entered into posterior pituitary. Here in posterior pituitary, ADH is stored, and as per the requirement, ADH releases from the posterior pituitary. Now, for the release of ADH, there are three primary stimuli. One stimuli is low blood pressure. That time ADH is released. Second stimuli, low blood volume, and third case is the increase in blood osmolarity. In this situation, the ADH is released from the posterior pituitary. Now, one by one, we are discussing these three stimuli. So, first case. So, when there is a low blood pressure in the body, that time angiotensin 2 binds with the receptor cells of the hypothalamus. So now what will happen? the nerve signal from the hypothalamus or the stimulus reaches to the posterior pituitary releases ADH. So this is one condition when blood volume, blood pressure is low. That time, in response to that, hypothalamus receptor cell, they bind with angiotensin 2 and posterior pituitary releases ADH. Now in second condition is the low blood volume. So when the blood volume is low, that time what happen? So this low blood volume, actually this low blood volume, when the blood volume decreases, so baroreceptor sense this, that the blood volume has decreased. Now where these baroreceptors are present? So baroreceptors are present within the atria of the heart. Baroreceptor also present in the aorta, and baroreceptor are also present in the carotid blood vessel. So this baroreceptor, they stimulate hypothalamus. They send the signal to hypothalamus that the blood volume has decreased. So now, as the baroreceptor are sending decrease nerve signal, nerve stimulation, so in response to this, the hypothalamus also going to respond. Now what happened actually? See, when in our body, when the blood volume decreases, so due to that, this blood is not going to apply pressure on the wall of the atria, aorta, or the carotid artery. That means as the blood volume is decreasing, so the stretch in the blood vessel, stretch in the wall of blood vessel is also going to decrease, and this decrease in stretch will be detected by baroreceptor. So as we can understand that the blood volume has decreased and there is a decrease in stretch of the wall of the blood vessel, and this is detected by baroreceptor. So baroreceptors are sending the nerve impulse to the hypothalamus, okay, and hypothalamus stimulate posterior pituitary to release the ADH hormone. So this is the second condition, second stimulus, okay, low blood volume, by which ADH is released. Now we are discussing the third stimulus due to which the ADH is released. Now when the blood osmolarity increases, okay, so increased blood osmolarity is detected by the cells of hypothalamus. Now when the blood osmolarity increases, what happens? Blood travels through the capillaries of the hypothalamus. So this type of blood, when it is transported through the capillaries of hypothalamus, so cells of the hypothalamus, the chemoreceptor within the hypothalamus, they detect that the osmolarity of the blood has increased, okay, and now hypothalamus stimulate the posterior pituitary to release the ADH. So this is the third stimuli by which posterior pituitary is releasing the ADH hormone. These are the three conditions by which ADH is released. Now we have discussed the ADH is released. Now what this ADH is doing? So ADH released by posterior pituitary enters into the bloodstream, and ADH initiate following changes, okay. The first effect ADH cause is ADH stimulate thirst center, which is located in the hypothalamus. ADH act on thirst center. So a person feel thirsty, and person intake the fluid. That means person drink the water. So when the person drink the water, that time in person body blood volume and blood pressure also increases. So when we drink water, that time blood volume increase, blood pressure increase, and when we drink water, due to that blood osmolarity decreases. So this is the first effect of ADH. ADH stimulate the thirst center. Now the second effect of ADH is on kidney. Now ADH increases water reabsorption in the kidney. ADH bind to the principal cell of the collecting tubule and the duct, and due to ADH binding, this principal cell of the collecting duct and tubule, they stimulate ADH stimulate this cell to increase the production of aquaporine. Aquaporins are protein, and this protein act as a water channel, and this water channel aquaporine, they are installed in the plasma membrane of the tubular and the duct cell. Okay, now from this channel, from this water channel, from this aquaporine, from the tubular fluid, water is reabsorbed. So water is reabsorbed by the process of osmosis. Water first enter into the interstitial fluid, and then water enter into the peritubular capillary. So this is how, due to the ADH in the wall in the plasma membrane of the principal cell, the aquaporins are synthesized, they are installed, and water molecules are reabsorbed. And now as the water is entering in the peritubular capillary due to the osmosis process, what will happen? So blood volume is going to maintain. Okay, so blood volume is increasing, and this help both maintain blood volume by decreasing fluid loss in the urine. So as more water is reabsorbed, less amount of water is going to expel in the form of urine. Okay, so person will be less urinating, and there will be decrease in the blood osmolarity because water return into the bloodstream. That's why. Now the third effect of ADH affect on blood vessel. So high doses of ADH. Now large amount of ADH is going to release. For example, when person suffer from severe hemorrhage. So in the severe hemorrhage condition, that time more amount of ADH is released, and as ADH is released more, it will cause vasoconstriction of the blood vessel. So blood vessel are going to constrict. Okay, and increases the peripheral resistance. Okay, so this action of ADH, because ADH is constricting the blood vessel, so that's why ADH is also known as vasopressin. That means ADH is responsible for the constriction of blood vessel. And now what happens? Systemic blood pressure is going to increase. Okay, because the blood vessels are constricted due to the effect of ADH. So this is how the ADH is responsible to increase the blood pressure. Okay, so we can summarize the action of ADH as follow. So first of all, ADH is released under condition of low blood pressure. This is the action of angiotensin 2. Then if blood volume is low, it will be detected by STACH receptor in the heart and blood vessel. And if there is a high blood osmolarity during dehydration, that time ADH is going to affect the thirst center, so there will be fluid intake. Okay, and there will be large amount of water reabsorption by the kidney. Okay, so if fluid intake occur, so then what will happen? Water will enter into the peritubular capillary. Now the blood volume and blood pressure are going to increase, and blood osmolarity is further decreased, blood volume increases. So now as the stimuli return with the normal homeostatic level, now as the body is normalized, okay, so ADH release is decreased through the negative feedback mechanism. Okay, so here, see, this is the antidiuretic hormone, and these are 1, 2 and 3. These are the three stimuli by which posterior pituitary releases ADH. Second point, receptor. So hypothalamus respond to stimuli. This is the second action. And third action, on control center, hypothalamus stimulating posterior pituitary releasing ADH. So here you can see posterior pituitary releasing ADH. ADH is entering in the blood. Okay, now ADH affect on various body organ which are known as the effector. So ADH effect on the thirst center located in the hypothalamus. So due to the effect of ADH on thirst center activated, so now person drink the water, increase fluid intake, and intake increases, which increases blood volume, more water reabsorb, blood pressure increases. Then the effect of ADH on kidney. So ADH effect on DCT and collecting tubule. So DCT and collecting tubule, they reabsorb more water, so decrease water loss in the kidney to maintain blood volume and decrease blood osmolarity. So water reabsorption. Then the effect on blood vessel. So due to the effect of high dose of ADH, so the blood vessel are constricted, that is known as vasoconstriction. So as the blood vessel constrict, there is a increase in peripheral resistance and blood pressure. So this is the concept map for ADH. Okay. So with this we have completed this lecture on antidiuretic hormone. I hope you have enjoyed this lecture, and I also hope that this presentation lecture will be helpful in your exam preparation and also in your studies. My name is Manish Kochi sir. I am from Ahmedabad, India. Bye bye. Namaste.